Like, why,
I was actually at my house, that day before that night happened. So, one thing that's just tough is, just seeing him leave my house for, the last time and, him not being able to come back.
The impact he made on my life is something that's going to always resonate with me for the rest of my life. And it's never going to change. I'll never stop thinking about him.
Yeah, to quickly recap what happened here, police responded to the bar on Cowan Road at about 2:46 Saturday morning. They found Jones shot. He was taken to the hospital, did not survive, though. As far as what's next, Jones's family says they are in the process of planning his funeral arrangements right now. But back to who police are saying is responsible for this. Parsons being held in the Cobb County Jail without bond. He is charged with murder, aggravated assault, and aggravated battery as well. Let's get to what's going on right now in Iran. That's where Iranian state television is announcing the son of the late supreme leader in Iran as the successor to his father's position. So the son of the former Ayatollahs who we're talking about. He previously has never been elected or appointed to a government position. He's long been considered a contender for the role, even before a joint U.S.-Israeli airstrike 8 days ago killed his father and much of his family. Newly chosen Ayatollah was born in 1969, a decade before the Islamic Revolution in Iran. He grew up at a time when his father agitated against Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi, who was eventually overthrown. 88-seat Assembly of Experts, a group of clerics, is in charge of appointing Iran's supreme leader. So again, a new leader, the son of the former Ayatollah, has been named. Meanwhile, we are hearing from the Pentagon announcing the death of a U.S. Army soldier killed during that March 1st Iranian attack on U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia. That brings the total number of U.S. forces killed in the conflict with Iran to 7. The first 6 who died were Army reservists killed March 1st in an attack at a command center in Kuwait. 7th U.S. service member, what they're saying about that is he's died from injuries sustained during Iran's initial wave of attacks across the Middle East. That, again, is the word from the Pentagon, what they said about this on Sunday. So the service member died Saturday from injuries, again, sustained March 1st. Pentagon has not released that soldier's name just yet, so that is still something that we don't know. The 6 soldiers who were killed, though, they were assigned to the 103rd Sustainment Command based in Des Moines, Iowa. President Trump did attend the dignified transfer of their bodies at Dover Air Force Base Saturday morning as officials and the family members of these service members were in attendance. So far in all of this, about 1,230 people in Iran, more than 300 in Lebanon, and about a dozen in Israel have been killed. That is according to officials in those countries. Meanwhile, fears over rising oil prices remains right now as U.S. and Israeli strikes continue into a new week. The White House says oil reserves and supplies are at solid levels as the Pentagon is reportedly preparing to ask Congress for billions in new funds. So here to break some of this down for us is Fox's Rebecca Castor in Washington with the latest on the conflict. So Rebecca, good morning to you and thank you so much for being on today.
Thanks for having me, Elise.
All right, let's dive into this. So we mentioned just a few moments ago, Iran has selected a new supreme leader. So what do we know about him and what does this mean about the possibility of war?
So, Elise, as you reported, he is the second eldest son of the late Ayatollah. His name is Mojtaba Khamenei, and he has a lot to avenge for. Not only was his father killed in the Israeli strikes at the beginning of all of this, but so was his mother, his wife, his sister, and his son. So some people are arguing that he is even more extreme than his father, and their positions at the bottom line are very similar, which is why President Trump has said that him being the supreme leader is unacceptable. President Trump has also said that he must be directly involved in choosing his new supreme leader. The Israelis have already come out and said whoever is the next supreme leader will become an immediate target. So if they don't take out Mojtaba in the next few days, further negotiations between the U.S. and Iran appear nearly impossible.
So, Rebecca, last week Iran said it would not attack neighboring Gulf countries. They did continue, though, to launch those airstrikes. Countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain as well. So what are Iranian officials actually saying about this?
Yeah, so Iranian officials are trying to make nice with their Gulf neighbors here. They are apologizing, but they also are insisting they're targeting just U.S. military bases and other U.S. assets in these countries. However, we know civilian locations have been hit. For example, just yesterday in Saudi Arabia, 2 people were killed when a projectile fell in a residential neighborhood. So right now, we know behind the scenes there are some conversations between Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE about striking back. However, this has not yet materialized. Right now, these countries are just staying out of it, and they're focusing on defensive measures.
Now, Rebecca, Ukraine has also offered assistance to U.S. and in Israel right now, despite being in the midst of their own war and have been at this point now for several years. So what kind of support are we being offered from Ukraine?
Yeah, this is an interesting development. Ukraine officials say that they are in talks with the U.S. and some of these Gulf countries about sending their counterattacking drones, as well as some of their drone experts, to help in assisting and defending these U.S. military bases and other assets overseas. Of course, this is something they have a lot of experience with regarding their ongoing war with Russia. But on Russia, we also know that they are not sitting this out either. A U.S. official told Fox News that they're aware that the Russians are sending intelligence to Iran regarding U.S. assets, like the location of different aircraft and warships overseas, and they're letting the Iranians know about these locations. So seems like both countries getting involved here. President Trump was actually asked specifically about Russians getting involved over the weekend, and he kind of downplayed it, said it's not really a big deal because the U.S. is dominating right now.
So obviously a big part of the conversation between what's happening in the Middle East right now are the effects being felt here at home in the form of gas prices. So what we know about this so far, oil topped $100 a barrel today for the first time in several years. So there's the fear that things could go even higher. So Rebecca, what have we heard from the Trump administration about this?
Yeah, so President Trump is trying to let Americans know that this is a temporary blip. Average price at the gas pump right now is $3.45 a gallon. So a significant increase there. President Trump says that these prices will go down quickly, though, once this conflict with Iran wraps up. So he wants Americans to hang in there.
Certainly so. A lot to cover. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for breaking this down for us today. We certainly appreciate you. All right. Meanwhile, like what we were about, I mean, oil prices continue to remain high. And we're seeing the effects of that here in Georgia as well. Gas prices surged following Israeli missile strikes on 4 oil facilities in Iran's capital overnight. So like we mentioned, the price of crude oil surpassed $100 a barrel, triggering a sharp increase at the pump, just as metro families are preparing for spring break. According to AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in Georgia has climbed to $3.23 a gallon. That's up about 48 cents since the conflict in Iran began just a little over a week ago. It's actually the most significant one-week price jump since February of 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. So Gas Buddy reports the prices in Atlanta are 60.2 cents per gallon higher than a month ago. So we are certainly seeing some of these big impacts. AAA is just reminding folks, think about the trips that you're going to make. Try to consolidate if you can, if you're going to be out and about, to try to save money there. But in addition to the geopolitical conflict, AAA has noted that spring demand and the seasonal transition to the summer blend are also contributing to the rising cost as well. So it's just kind of everything working together right now, which is the reason that we're seeing these higher prices and will probably continue to do so at the pump. All right, our time is 11:11 now, and today marks U.S. Hostage and Wrongful Detainee Day. The State Department had a flag-raising ceremony that was held in Washington just to honor Americans held captive or wrongfully detained overseas. So a bit about this ceremony. It was Secretary of State Marco Rubio, FBI Deputy Director Christopher Wray. They delivered remarks there in the ceremony at the State Department. So the hostage and wrongful detainee flag is meant to symbolize the nation's commitment to bringing these Americans home. So let's listen into a bit of what happened at the ceremony.
Thanks, everybody, for being here. It's been a year since we were last gathered here, and I think we've made some progress. The President of the United States has made it very clear. Holding Americans is a liability. We're working to change the feeling that it is okay to have hostages, to make it clear that we are going to bring every single American home. And we've made progress. We brought 175 people home, over 100 Americans, others allies in Israel, other places. I see some of you here in the room tonight. But we're not going to stop. We're not going to stop until all Americans are home. Now, Secretary Rubio, who we're really appreciative is here with us today, has made it a clear priority. In fact, he let Iran know that they are a state sponsor of wrongful detention. And he has put other countries on notice, not just Iran. Anyone that holds American citizens, Russia, Afghanistan, some countries in Africa, that it's not okay and we will not stop until they're home. I want everybody to know our success is driven by a number of things. First and foremost, it's driven by the President of the United States, President Trump's vision to get to peace through strength. And that is why we're succeeding, not only on the hostage side, but it's why he's succeeding broadly. The second thing is a group of people, the FBI, state, our National Security Council, that are committed to bringing people home. And these are people that I am privileged to work with because they risk their lives. Some people don't know they're behind the scenes. But I know how much they make a difference. And I know and I see when President Trump unleashes talent, what we can do, how many people we can bring home. So I'd like to introduce you to our Deputy Director at the FBI, Deputy Director Christopher Rea, who's been a huge partner with us, SPIHA, with state, in bringing people home. So thank you.
All right, good morning. Thank you, Special Envoy Bowler, and thank you to everyone involved in organizing this important commemoration. I want to begin by thanking Secretary Rubio, as well as Special Envoy Bowler, for their advocacy and support of the interagency efforts to bring home all Americans held hostage or wrongfully detained abroad, and to get justice and answers for the families. This kind of advocacy is crucial. It keeps the momentum alive and ensures their stories are never forgotten. I also want to thank Dr. Gorka for his leadership and insight. Over the years, the FBI's and the Hostage Recovery Fusion Cell have worked to secure the recovery of many Americans held hostage. But the case of Bob Levinson hits especially close to home. For nearly my entire career, we have been searching for Bob. It is deeply personal to me, and I'm extremely motivated as the Deputy Director of the FBI to bring closure to his family. As most of you know, Bob spent nearly 3 decades in service to our nation, including 22 years as an FBI special agent. Quite simply, he was one of ours. Our evidence suggests that Bob died in captivity in Iran, and he is the longest-held American hostage in U.S. history. Today, unfortunately, marks 19 years since his abduction, and tomorrow, the Levinson family should have been celebrating Bob's 78th birthday. The urgency to uncover the facts of Bob's disappearance has never been greater. It would be deeply troubling to reach the 20-year mark without knowing what happened to him. The Levinson family's courage and advocacy have helped fuel years of tireless work by the FBI, the Hostage Recovery Fusion Cell, and our interagency partners who continue to develop new leads and intelligence with the hope of resolving the case before Bob's next birthday. Last year, as most of you saw, we released 5 posters seeking information on those we believe responsible for his kidnapping, detention, and probable death. We have kept this story front and center, and we will never stop. Additionally, we've shared a list of those involved in this crime with our interagency and foreign partners so they can pursue justice if the opportunity arises. I'm deeply grateful to our agents, our employees, our investigative teams, and all the agency partners who have worked so hard to try to bring Bob home. They have not wavered in their pursuit of answers, and they continue to push forward every day. They are fighting not only for Bob and his family, but for the many, far too many, other families facing the same unimaginable circumstances. We will not back down. We will never abandon our own. Our mission is clear: bring our citizens home and ensure those responsible face American justice. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to welcome everyone here to the State Department. I wish it was on a happier occasion, although we do have things to celebrate in terms of Americans that have been returned, but also we remember those who have not returned. I want to open, first of all, just by stating the obvious. The United States is currently engaged in an operation targeting the world's leading hostage taker, the world's leading sponsor of terrorism, the regime in Iran. And first, I think we would all take a moment both to offer our thoughts, our prayers, and our condolences, and to honor the families of those who have fallen, the 7 Americans who have lost their lives in the initial hours of this operation. Incredibly brave Americans, and you saw 6 of them dignified return over the weekend, and we all are all in awe of their service, of their bravery, of their courage, and our hearts and our support extend out to their families in this very difficult moment, and the families of these incredible heroes. And heroic things are happening all the time, some of which will never make it to the headlines, but American men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary mission with extraordinary efficacy and efficiency and impact. The goals of this mission are clear, and it's important to continue to remind the American people of why it is that the greatest military in the history of the world is engaged in this operation. It is to destroy the ability of this regime to launch missiles, both by destroying their missiles and their launchers, destroy the factories that make these missiles, and destroy their navy. I think we are all seeing right now the threat that this clerical regime poses to the region and to the world. They are trying to hold the world hostage. They are attacking their neighbors. They are attacking neighboring countries, their energy infrastructure, their civilian population. They're attacking embassies. This is a terrorist government. This is a terroristic regime. And we are seeing them conduct terrorism using nation-state elements, using weapons like missiles and one-way attack drones. And the objective of this mission is to destroy their ability to continue to do that. And we are well on our way to achieving that objective every single day with overwhelming force, with overwhelming precision. The military, the United States military, the men and women in uniform are conducting an extraordinary operation. There are not a lot of cameras down there covering what they're doing, as opposed to some of the other images that you may see from some of the cities and capitals nearby. But I want everyone to know your military is getting the job done, and every single day, this regime in Iran has less missiles, has less launchers, their factories work less, and their navy is being eviscerated. And the world is going to be a safer and a better place when this mission is accomplished. And we... Now, we are here today, obviously, on something that touches right on Iran, but I think, unfortunately, it's not just limited to Iran. And we're here on the 3rd U.S. Hostage and Wrongful Detainee Day, and it's a day that exists because families and loved ones refuse to let their loved ones be forgotten. We have this day to celebrate those who returned, to honor those who perished in captivity, and commit to returning those who are still in detention and holding also the perpetrators of this accountable. Last year marked 10 years of what they call SPIHA and the Hostage Recovery Fusion Cell. These were entities that were created with a specific mission of bringing Americans who were unjustly detained, bringing them home. And because of this mission, because the heart of this mission really can be captured in one word, and that one word is homecoming, reuniting people to their loved ones. 4 years ago, 50-plus families in the Bring Our Families Home campaign created the flag that flies here today. It's a symbol of solidarity. It's a symbol of resolve. It's flown in honor of Americans brought home over the past 3 years and the Americans yet to be brought home to their families. And many of the families and of the returnees and the advocates who made those moments possible are with us here today. And we want to thank you for your advocacy, for never allowing us or anyone to forget of those Americans that are unjustly detained. And we're especially grateful to those who themselves were detained. You know, it would be perfectly understandable if you decided, I'm back home, I'm going to go on with the rest of my life. Your willingness to step forward, to tell your stories, and to ensure that other Americans who are similarly situated to the way where you once were.
So an important day right there happening at the state capitol, or the nation's capital. And just quick to note this as well, that federal law actually requires the flag that they're talking about to be flown at the White House, the U.S. Capitol, the State Department, and the Pentagon today, as well as on Flag Day and Independence Day as well. All right, well, still ahead for you on the stream today. We're talking about Florida in the middle of its worst drought in like 25 years, and it's having an impact on a breakfast staple. The cost is going up for that, so be sure to stick around. Welcome back, everyone. All right, meteorologist Jonathan Stacy is joining us now with the check of what's happening outside. So it's 11:26, and hopefully the fog situation has changed since earlier today, Jonathan.
I just looked at some maps, and things have drastically improved in terms of the fog situation. So There's good news on that front that we're finally getting some relief because you couldn't see.
Yeah, that was a
Basically,
lot.
the clouds on the ground had us blind this morning to the world that was in front of us. So we've gotten that out of here. So now to the next problem. So it's kind of a lull in problems for now. But as we take a look at Fox 5 Live Apple Radar and moving out to the west, we'll see the problems that will be on our doorsteps by the time the sun goes down. Just before the 8 o'clock hour, we'll look at a complex of storms that has triggered a severe thunderstorm watch out across Arkansas, moving in out of the state of Oklahoma into Arkansas as we speak. That complex has to jet all the way to the east before it greets us. We're seeing a couple severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. We'll watch the characteristics of its development, as that will give us a better indication as to how the storm will respond when it gets to us. In terms of the threat, there's a level 1 out of 5 threat for mainly West Georgia as we get into the evening period going in and through the overnight hours. In terms of the area shaded in yellow, the Mississippi River Delta, the Mid-South going down into central portions of Mississippi and Alabama, there's a level 2 out of 5 threat. So zooming in here, our main concerns with today's or tonight's storm complex are damaging wind gusts that could top 60 miles an hour, and I would say medium to large hail. There could be pockets of hail, but I'm not really concerned about a generous threat. So let's work through the timing here. It's now 6 p.m. on your Monday. You've made it through the majority of the day without a drop of water falling from the sky. Up first is northwest Georgia, and then look at this. The colors really light up the map here. We're looking at reds and oranges and pinks, indicating that there could be some swift winds lodged in this complex, and of course heavy downpours packed with thunder and lightning. We'll continue to deal with this through the overnight hours, so third shift workers, it's going to be a wet go, likely as you go into work and as you leave to go home. If you do have plans tomorrow morning, I think the ground's going to be quite soggy, and there could still be some moisture falling from the sky. It's now 4 a.m. Early risers, you're still dealing with showers on either side of the metro area. As we get into the second half of the morning, you can see here things are starting to clear up, and by the time the morning rush hour gets going, most of us are driving in dry conditions in terms of nothing falling from the sky, but the ground will be drenched. Okay, so we go through the rest of Tuesday, and I think things are fairly nice. I don't see any return flow that will bring back moisture until we get to Wednesday night going into Thursday. And Thursday will be pretty damp, and then by Friday we have kicked that front out of here and we're back to sunshine. So we have a pretty solid opportunity for rain tonight, and then another one that comes Wednesday into Thursday. So 2 chances this week. As for the here and now, temperatures across much of North Georgia are in the 60s, 61 degrees here in Atlanta. Go down to Eaton, they're at 68 degrees. So where are we going? Well, we're going to the 70s. The only temperature right now that is of concern is Blairsville at 57 degrees. And that's not because of its temperature based on elevation. It's because as long as those temperatures are down in the 50s, the fog is going to stick around, and that's where we have lower visibilities at this hour. By the afternoon, we'll turn those numbers around and push them into the 70s. They're back after taking a day off yesterday. Yesterday was filled with clouds and periods of rain, but today's rain comes after we reach our high temperature. Therefore, our numbers overnight are going to be about 18 to 20 degrees above average. We'll stop it at 62 degrees, and that's just because we'll have a few leftover showers that take us into the pre-dawn and the sunrise period of your Tuesday. Those numbers rolling into the 70s once again by the afternoon. The rain is out, the clouds break free, and I think even Atlanta may have an opportunity to hit 80. 80s are back for a short stay before we take about a 20-degree drop going into Thursday, but still that's not bad.
Not bad at all.
61 degrees, and then it looks like there's plenty of sunshine that carries us into the weekend. I will say this, we know how trees are, we know how our power grid is. So tonight, with this being an overnight system, most of us will be in bed by the time the most intense activity comes through. You may want to just have an extra alarm clock ready to go because, you know, if your phone doesn't charge because the power goes out or something like that, you don't want to be late tomorrow.
That is some good advice. Yeah. Certainly so. Okay, so something to keep in mind there, but I do have to tell you, looking at that extended forecast, we are in for a gorgeous weekend. Oh my gosh.
Isn't it
That's going to be nice.
I know.
Yeah. Eye on the prize.
I know, yeah.
Eye on the prize.
Check this out. You see that?
Yes.
Look at Florida, though.
I see. You know what? That's actually what we're talking about next. So your timing on this is really, really good, Jonathan. You know, he's showing us this drought monitor map. You see things are improving for us, but not a good situation currently in Florida, which, you know, if you're into orange juice, right, or all kinds of things, and this is something that could be hitting your wallet. You've got a Florida farmer to thank for that. But with them being in the worst drought in 25 years, I mean, it's threatening all kinds of crops, especially oranges at this point. So Fox's Amy Gallo is joining us now from Bartow, Florida, at Dundee Citrus with just a look at things. So Amy, thank you so much for being on with us today. Not a good situation for a state that provides, you know, 20% of the nation's citrus.
This is another challenge for Florida citrus farmers to now have to deal with, and on top of what they've already been dealing with, right? We've had the recent hurricanes as well as citrus greening here in our state affecting the crop. So farmers are now having to spend more money to keep their crops watered. That means irrigation costs are through the roof, and that's not simple for a struggling industry.
Have we already seen this drop happening, Amy? Have they already seen, you know, an impact to their orange yields due to this? We're still early yet.
Yeah, well, thankfully, right. Yeah. So, I mean, right now, they're here at Dundee Citrus, things are looking good, right? They've got these things here you see behind me, these tents. They've been growing the citrus underneath protective coverings, and that keeps them sheltered from the drought conditions. They can basically set up a sprinkler system, in a less scientific way of explaining this. It's a sprinkler system that will water the perfect amount each plant needs so that they can continue creating the fruit that we all love. And so over here, they're doing okay because they've got these high-tech tents. Now, for Florida farmers who might not be able to afford something like this, who are more mom and pop and maybe have an orange grove out in their yard, that is where it's becoming a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I can imagine so. I mean, just the equipment aspect of this, you know, to try to compensate for the lack of water. I mean, do we have any idea, though, what a financial loss could look like for the citrus industry if this drought continues?
Yeah, I mean, it's another struggle, right? The citrus industry is already losing lots of money because they're having to combat things like the citrus greening disease, which has really been a problem the last few decades and has dwindled the amount of acreage in our area. We're actually down from back in 2000, Florida citrus industry covered around 900,000 acres. Now it's down to just over 200,000. So you can see just in a couple decades how just one thing has affected them. Drought is now another costly thing where we're seeing these farmers spend more money now on things like gasoline and electricity to keep their irrigation systems going. So yeah, it's just farmers pinching their pennies right now.
Yeah, and I mean, staying on the lines of that, this being a cause and effect type situation, I mean, should we be expecting to see prices higher on things like oranges and orange juice and the like, just, you know, products that would come out of Florida?
Thankfully not. Right now, they seem pretty stable here in Florida, Florida Citrus, and across the country, right? Dundee Citrus CEO is explaining to me that despite all of the drought we've been dealing with now, as well as the recent freezes that we had here, and I think over in Georgia as well, that hasn't affected it. They've stayed stable. We're seeing the same prices we would have seen just a couple weeks back. Now, we can't anticipate what it'll look like for next season, so we're all keeping an eye on that. If this season goes well, the crops grow well, then we should see those stable prices as well into next year.
How about other crops? You know, we've talked quite a bit about oranges, but what other crops are being impacted by this drought, Amy?
any crops. I mean, you here in Florida, you have watermelon farmers. When you think about citrus, it's not just oranges. A lot of the video that you may have played here was actually of grapefruit. There's kumquats. There's all sorts of crops here in Florida. And with the entire state 100% experiencing some level of drought, whether that be minimal or in some cases severe, this is affecting anybody that has land and is trying to grow something. It might even be affecting crops at home. If you have a home garden, this is widespread.
No doubt. It's certainly important when you're talking about the worst drought there in Florida in 25 years. So Amy Gallo joining us live from Fort Meade, Florida. Amy, thank you so much for filling us in on this. And I think we're all hoping for the best and hoping for some much needed rain there in Florida as well. Certainly. All right, Amy, thank you so much for that. Turning our attention now to spring break, right? We are right around that time frame where maybe you've had your spring break, you're preparing to have it, but if it's still a trip that's on the horizon, experts say there's plenty you can do right now to enjoy a trip on a budget. They're saying it's so important to compare those flight deals early. We're probably just about to exit the window when you can, try to find some deals on flights. So you got to get on this. To save some money, Dr. Sherry Young with the University of Denver suggests maybe flying midweek if you can pull it off, visiting destinations during their shoulder season, and also choosing secondary cities over the most popular ones. All great ideas. She also advises looking for special hotel and resort discounts and contacting front desks directly when booking online in order to score those better deals without overspending. So just a few tips for you there. And maybe if you're considering staying local for spring break or just looking for something to do on a weekend, well, you are in luck because Six Flags Over Georgia is opening up for the 2026 season this Saturday. So March 14th will be the big day. It's the 50-night season, welcoming guests for immersive events, world-class attractions, new dining locations there as well. Quite a few of those. So just to get into what's new this season, the park debuts Georgia Sandwich Company. And so that'll be something new that you can enjoy. Equipped with a full bar, fast service, they say. It's inspired by local flavors. Lots of hearty options for the whole family is the word from Six Flags. Also, looks like joining DJ's Diner, Firehouse Barbecue, Promenade, Primo's Pizzeria, among many others is there. So you don't have to be hungry out at Six Flags. They've got lots of great options for you. Also, it looks like there's some daily festivities that are happening all around, opening weekend leading through most of our spring breaks. Splash Water Parade is something new that they've added. Star Spangled Nights headline the park summer events as well. So some good stuff that we can enjoy, but I guess the most important part about all of this, 40 rides, shows, and attractions, and everything gets underway this weekend out at Six Flags Over Georgia. And if you were watching Jonathan's forecast, then you saw it looks like it's going to be the perfect weekend if this is something you want to add to your list. All right, our time is 11:39, and we're back with more right after this. Welcome back, everyone. Let's get to some of the big headlines locally that we're following for you here. Beginning with this one, authorities are investigating a deadly shooting at a Powder Springs park. They say it left a 30-year-old man dead Sunday night. What we know about it, Powder Springs police responded to reports of gunfire at the park on Lewis Extension at about 9:22 p.m. Officers found the victim with a single gunshot wound to the chest. They say they provided help to him until medical personnel got there. The man was taken to the hospital, but he didn't make it. The victim's identity is being withheld pending notification of next of kin, so we don't know that just yet. But authorities have identified a female suspect in this case. No arrests have been made. No motive has been established. Police said there is no known relationship between the two individuals right now, but they don't believe that there is an ongoing threat to the community. So if you know anything about this, then you're asked to reach out to Powder Springs Police for the very, anything that you can share on that, they would find helpful. Meanwhile, the parents of Kendrick Johnson have filed a $10 billion federal lawsuit against judges they say helped to cover up their son's death. Kenneth and Jacqueline Johnson claimed that judges in the Northern District of Georgia joined a conspiracy to hide what they believe was the 2013 murder of their son, a Valdosta teenager. So the lawsuit filed March 3rd names Chief Judge Lee Martin May and Judge Sarah Elizabeth Gertley, along with the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Georgia. And the family is accusing them of issuing false and fraudulent rulings to dismiss their case and to protect state and local authorities, including the Georgia Bureau of Investigation and the Lowndes County Sheriff. And in that complaint, the Johnsons allege the judges were part of a racketeering conspiracy aimed at covering up Kendrick Johnson's death. You'll remember Johnson was found dead inside of a rolled up mat at Lowndes County High School back in January of 2013. Investigators ruled that death an accident caused by positional asphyxia, but the family has long argued that this is a murder case that we're looking at here. The lawsuit cites crime scene photos and FBI records. The family says point to blunt force trauma and skull fracture. They're saying this is so much more than what authorities will confirm and release about the case. State investigators have repeatedly denied wrongdoing and have also previously asked courts to dismiss the family's claims, citing sovereign immunity. The Johnsons again seeking $5 billion in damages and $5 billion in punitive damages and are requesting a jury trial to take a look at this. So $10 billion total. The case is now pending in the same federal court the family has named as a defendant. Well, now to just a heartbreaking story. You've probably seen this on the news at this point. Gainesville community is mourning the loss of a teacher and a coach from North Hall High School, a beloved teacher by all accounts. And this death comes after a rolling plank led to his tragic death on Friday. So let's get into this. The memorial mounting outside the high school for Jason Hughes, just 40 years old, who was killed when he tripped and fell into the road and then was run over by a fleeing teen who police say was part of this, 18-year-old Jaden Ryan Wallace. Dozens piled out front for Hughes, who taught math and also coached golf at North Hall. Community has expressed their sadness over this loss. Hughes's wife also teaches at the high school as a geometry instructor. So Hughes had come out of his home. He thought the teens were throwing toilet paper across the yard right before the deadly incident. The group of teens had fled in two different vehicles. So the sheriff's office noted all of the teens involved attempted to help Hughes before he was taken to the hospital and later died. Olivia Williams is a sophomore at the high school. She visited the memorial on Saturday night just to show her support for the Hughes family. Here's what she said.
Whenever somebody would need help or something, he would always make great conversation. He always had the best smile on his face, and he just seemed like such a friendly guy. Life is so precious, so you never, ever should take it for granted. So just go hug your loved ones.
Now, digging deeper into this, Wallace, who we mentioned, is who police say ended up running this teacher over, was fleeing at the time, Jaden Ryan Wallace. He is facing charges of first-degree vehicular homicide and reckless driving in connection with Hughes's death. Additionally, faces misdemeanor charges of criminal trespassing, among other charges. 5 other teens are facing misdemeanor charges. There is a GoFundMe for the Hughes family. You can find that at fox5atlanta.com, a link to that as well. All right, have to get you to just a wild story, not what you expected to hear waking up this morning. Rihanna's Beverly Hills home was reportedly shot at over the weekend. Shots allegedly fired while the singer was inside her home at the time, making all of this even scarier. So Gigi Gracietta has been following the story, and she is joining us with the latest on this investigation. So Gigi, thank you so much for being on with us. This is, by all accounts, crazy.
It sure is, especially when you consider this happened in broad daylight in a very private, secluded neighborhood. Things like this just don't happen here, as neighbors will tell you. We start off, though, with breaking news because the Los Angeles Police Department has just identified the woman they have arrested and charged with attempted murder. She is 35-year-old Ivana Lisette Ortiz, and she is behind bars this morning. Her bail set at over $10 million. And we're in the Beverly Crest neighborhood. If you're familiar with Los Angeles, this is between the San Fernando Valley and Beverly Hills. And we're right outside Rihanna and A$AP Rocky's home. And you may be able to make out there, this is the white gate outside the home. There's some white tape that now is covering 5 bullet holes. And this was just 5 of the gunshots, because she reportedly fired up to 10 gunshots, and some may have actually gone over that wall and pierced the house. We are waiting for police confirmation on that. But the neighbors here, they all heard it. It was about 1:20 yesterday afternoon when the suspect, now identified as Ivana Ortiz, pulled up to this neighborhood in a white Tesla with paper plates, and from her car began shooting at the house. And just like that, she flipped a U-turn and left. But LAPD, they had their helicopter up. Neighbors quickly looked at their surveillance cameras. They were able to tell LAPD exactly the make and model of the Tesla that she was driving. They found her in the San Fernando Valley. She headed to a shopping center. That's where she pulled into the parking lot, and they took her into custody. The LAPD telling us they did find an assault-style rifle inside that Tesla. One thing they're not saying, though, is what, if any, connection Ortiz has to Rihanna and A$AP Rocky. Was she targeting them for some reason? Now, of course, we're working to get more information on the suspect. There is word that she may be from across the country. She may not even live here in Los Angeles, but it is very telling that they booked her, the LAPD did, for attempted murder. Her bail set at $10,225,000. Again, she's 35 years old, Ivana Lisette Ortiz. A lot of unanswered questions and a lot of shattered nerves in this neighborhood. And we can only imagine how Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, parents to 3 small children, must feel today.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right about that. Has rattled the community. Thank you so much for sharing that breaking news. So important to know that the woman police say is responsible for this has been arrested. So I'm so glad you were able to bring us that news. You know, we heard earlier from neighbors there in the neighborhood, and I'm not very familiar, but I imagine this is a safe neighborhood where this is not something that happens all the time. They were extremely rattled by what happened. So, I mean, let's hear it from you. You're there right now. I mean, this seems very quiet, very nice. You know, you see a gate around the home, not a neighborhood where you expect something like this to happen.
That's right. And as one neighbor told us, this could have been so much worse. We know that's a cliche, but we're talking about Sunday afternoon, 1:20 in the afternoon. Rihanna and A$AP Rocky, their parents to 3 small children. One of them, of course, a baby, but the 2 children, they could have been playing in the front yard. This is a neighborhood of multi-million-dollar mansions. They are all gated. They have a lot of shrubbery and foliage in front, so you can't even see the house from the street. It is a small street off of a bigger street, which is Coldwater Canyon. If you're familiar again with LA, we have these canyon roads that lead from the San Fernando Valley to the west side. And Coldwater Canyon, you can travel from the valley to Beverly Hills, and this home is sort of in between Beverly Hills and the San Fernando Valley. So a very exclusive neighborhood, not a high crime area, but Rihanna unfortunately has been the target. She's been targeted by burglars who broke into another home she had here in Los Angeles. She's been targeted by stalkers. One of them actually made his way onto another property that she had here. And now this shooting. You can only imagine how her nerves must be rattled.
Yeah.
I mean, after all, she's a superstar. She's a businesswoman, but ultimately she's a mom. And she's got 3 small children to worry about. So we can only imagine how she feels today.
Yeah, certainly glad that they are okay after all of this, but just a wild situation. I'm sure we will continue to hear more potentially from Rihanna or A$AP Rocky, but more about this suspect who was arrested as well. So Gigi Graciette joining us from Los Angeles. Gigi, thank you so much for walking us through this. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Our time now is 11:52, and we are back with more for you right after this. Welcome back. It's a lush retreat on the campus of UGA. We're talking about the UGA Trial Garden. So let's check in now with our Chris Rosenthal, who's made his way there and is showing us around. Hey, Chris.
Hey, yeah, you know, I went to college here and I didn't even know this place was here, to be honest. But yeah, I'm at the UGA Trial Gardens. This place is kind of the last stop for a lot of plants and new plant varieties that are in development. A lot of them will come here to the garden to be tested and see how they fare. And so I am with John Reuter here. He is with the Trial Gardens. And tell me a little bit about what you guys do here.
Yeah, so we are sort of known as the go-to garden for heat and humidity trialing in the southeastern United States. So we work with all the major plant breeding companies from around the country, working primarily with annuals, some perennials. And so we will put these plants on trial during the summer out in the garden. And what you see behind us here, these are the little, we will get these plants in as either seeds or little plugs. We pot them up into these larger 3 1/4 inch pots here. And then these plants will then go out into beds. They'll go into hanging baskets. They'll go into containers in the garden. and then we will evaluate them for how they perform through the summer. And if you want to see how that works, you can go to our website. Just do a search for the trial gardens at UGA. And one of the nice things that we do with the trialing is we evaluate these every month, and then we put the data immediately up on the website. And so anybody can go look at it. The public, the breeders really like it because they can see how their plants are performing during the summer. But we will evaluate these all summer long. And then in the fall, we'll give out awards. And our Classic City Awards are like the top 12 out of the 300 plus plants that we'll be evaluating. We'll do another 20 or so that are the best of the rest. During the season, we do plants of distinction. So those are plants that are looking really good that week. And so there's various ways to find out what's going on here at the garden.
And these are plants that you may find, if they do well, may find in your store, or maybe your landscaper might be using them, for example, right?
Yes, yeah. So the data that we're able to provide back to the companies provides that information, lets the retailers know this is a good one that's going to grow here that can sell. The landscapers know it'll perform well. And then the companies know that, hey, that's one that we want to market in this region because we know it will grow well for the end consumer.
Mostly decorative, but some vegetables too, huh?
Yes, yeah. So patio vegetables have become very popular with the breeders. And so ornamental peppers, smaller cherry tomatoes, squash, basil, herbs have become very popular. So
awesome.
Plants that you can grow in pots on your patio. You don't have to have a large garden out in the backyard, yeah.
All right, wonderful. Well, we'll be with you through the rest of the day, and we'll talk more about the trial garden and an upcoming sale they'll be having as well. Back to you, Elise.
Some good stuff. Chris, thank you so much for walking us around out there. We appreciate it. And thank you for joining us on this Monday. We've got the noon show headed your way in just a few moments, so stick around.
Friends and family are mourning the loss of a local coach. Next at noon, how the gentle giant is being remembered. Plus, another teen takeover, this time planned for a weekday. How police are responding to the plans today.
Fox 5 News at noon starts right now.
But first, we begin in Hall County, where students at North Hall High School